Once upon a time, words began to vanish from the language of children. They disappeared so quietly that at first, almost no one noticed, fading away like water on stone. The words were those that children used to name the natural world around them: acorn, adder, bluebell, bramble, conker. Gone. Fern, heather, kingfisher, otter, raven, willow, wren, all of them gone. The words were becoming lost, no longer vivid in children's voices, no longer alive in their stories. But there is an old kind of magic for finding what is missing and for summoning what has vanished. If the right spells are spoken, the lost words might return.
Robert Macfarlane and Jackie Morris published the best-selling children's book, The Lost Words, in 2017. The book is a collection of poems and artwork that explores the natural world of animals and plants that live in the natural environment around us. It is perhaps also a response to this and the way that we treat our natural environment. I'm Tim from Laugh Out Loud Theatre and Fabula Arts, and we run creative arts projects inspired by the lost words. And today we're going to give you a flavour of some of the creative work that we do that's been inspired by creative artists and creative activities based on the natural environment around us. Magpie Manifesto. Argue every toss. Gossip, bicker, yak and snicker all day long. Pick a fight in an empty room. Interrupt, interject, intercept, intervene. Every magpie for every magpie against every other walking, flying, swimming, creeping creature on earth.
Except eagles, for they are too scary. Words are important, and if we lose touch with the words we use to name the natural world, we lose touch with the natural world itself. Using writing activities then to respond to nature becomes really powerful. So this is a writing exercise. We're exploring the magpie today, and hopefully by the end of it, our group will have written a kind of a poem about the magpie. First, we play some drama games to get into the mind of a magpie. This ought to help them write from the magpie's point of view. Then we read the poem and try to physicalise the verbs in it. If the words on the page take on a physical energy, we begin to experience them rather than just read them or hear them. Next, we begin to collect words and phrases that fit with the magpie, and we see if we can begin to build a poem using that language. This can be any kind of poem, in any style. Today, I've given them the challenge of writing a cinquain, a poem with 5 lines and a strict number of syllables in each line. The language of the lost words is so beautiful, and that's the point. We can all see how beautiful nature is, but by getting creative with the words we use to label nature helps us to be able to talk about it too.
Bossy magpies. They're confident and arrogant, bold, boisterous, headstrong into conflict, all bark but much less bite. Compact, loud, you stand small but annoyingly proud, magnificent magpie.
Determined to snatch its food anywhere and everywhere.
They hate other birds, they hate human beings, those magpies.
So, by focusing on one particular bird and exploring its character in this writing workshop, we've begun to engage with nature and language. And what a brilliant bird to choose.
Kingfisher, the colour giver, fire bringer, flame flicker, rivers quiver. Ink black bill, orange throat, and a quick blue, black gleaming feather stream. Neat and still, it sits on the snag of a stick, until with gold flare, wing fan, whip crack, the kingfisher, zingfisher, singfisher, flashes down too fast to follow, quick and quicker carves its hollow. In the water, slings its arrow super swift to swallow, stickleback, or shrimp, or minnow. Halcyon is its other name, also ripple calmer, water nester, evening wrangler, weather teller, rain bringer and rainbow bird. that sets the stream alight with burn and glitter.
Rock rasps. What are you? I am Raven, of the blue-black jacket and the boxer's swagger, stronger and older than Pecan and Boulder, raps Raven in reply. Air asks, what are you? I am Raven, prince of play, king of guile, grin on face bass jumper, twice as agile as the wind, thrice as fast as any gale, rasps Raven in reply. Vixen ventures, what are you? I am Raven, solver of problems, picker of locks, who can often outsmart Stoat and always outthink Fox, scoffs Raven in reply. Earth inquires, what are you? I am Raven, I have followed men from forest edge to city scarp, black shadow, dark familiar, hexes Raven in reply. Nothing knows what you are. Not true, for I am Raven, whom nothing cannot know. I steal eggs the better to grow. I eat eyes the better to see. I pluck wings the better to fly, riddles Raven in reply.
This is our 20-minute rap. You've written a rap about a raven in 20 minutes. Here you go, guys.
Dazzle me, little son of the grass, and spin me, tiny time machine. Tick-tock, sun clock, thistle and dock, now no longer known as Dont de Leon, lion's tooth or wind blow. Tick-tock, sun clock, nettle and dock, evening glow, milk witch or parachute. So let new names take and root, thrive and grow. Tick-tock, sun clock, rattle and dock. I would make you some, such as bane of lawn perfectionists, or fallen star of the football pitch, or scatterseed. But never would I call you only, merely, simply, weed. Tick-tock, sun clock, clover and dock.
Newt, oh Newt, you are too cute, emoted the coot to the too cute newt. With your frilly back and your shiny suit and your spotted skin so unhirsute. Too cute, roared the newt to the unastute coot. With all this careless talk of cute, you bring me into disrepute. For newts aren't cute. We're kings of the pond, lions of the duckweed, dragons of the water. Albeit it's true, he paused, my newt.
Hi, my name's Katie. I'm a zoologist and I work for the Wildlife Trust here in Northamptonshire as the Communities and Wildlife Manager. The Wildlife Trust is a conservation charity, so our primary goal is to look after habitats for wildlife and also to educate people about why that's important. So we're a local charity, we're based in Northamptonshire, Bedfordshire and Cambridgeshire, but there are actually 46 wildlife trusts across the UK all working together towards the same goal. So the place I work is Rushden Lakes, or the Nen Wetlands Nature Reserve, and this is a really unique place for us because it's right next to a shopping centre, which isn't where you'd usually think of there being a nature reserve. But actually it's a really good example of how conservation charities like the Wildlife Trust can work with developers and local communities to really provide facilities that people can enjoy but are also fantastic for wildlife. One of the species that we sort of try and conserve habitats for here in the Nen Wetlands and across our 3 counties is newts. So the species that we mainly have here are smooth newts. There are several different types in the UK and they are an amphibian, which means that they spend some of their time in the water. That's where they lay their eggs, a bit like frogs and toads. And when it gets to sort of later in the summer and the autumn and winter, they find a nice log or rock to kind of hide under somewhere nice and damp to spend the winter. So hopefully there's going to be some of these logs which I can show you. So you can see they're incredibly well camouflaged so that they don't get eaten by predators, and he was doing a very good job there of hiding. So very carefully. So this is a very small newt. This was probably one of this year's juveniles. They will get sort of up to that long. And in the spring and summer, the males will have a really brightly coloured underbelly, which they use to attract females. So underneath will be bright orange. This little guy doesn't really want to. He's very good at staying the right way around, but yeah, they will go bright orange and they'll get a crest along their back. So these guys, as I say, at this time of year they're mainly under logs, but during the spring and summer you'll mainly find them in ponds. And ponds are one of the habitats that are really declining in the UK. So actually about 50% of the UK ponds have disappeared in the last 50 years. So these guys are really struggling, and they really rely on nature reserves like this for their survival. So I've always been really interested in nature, and at school my favourite subject was biology, and this led to me studying natural sciences and zoology at university. And I was really interested in animal behaviour. So once I graduated, I spent a year living in Australia studying the behaviour of lots of different birds in different places. And it was really here that I decided that I wanted to work in conservation. So even though I was in the middle of nowhere where it took 2 days to get to the local supermarket, the impacts of humans on the wildlife was still massive. So there was huge mining companies who were destroying habitats, even in the most remote places. And invasive species like cats and rats were killing off and systematically eating lots of the native animals, and it was just really depressing. Also, climate change was obviously having a big effect there because there was lots of wildfires that we had to go and fight, and that was also causing a lot of habitat destruction. And it was really this that made me think, although I love studying animal behaviour, conservation is what I'd really like to work in, and that's when I came back from Australia and decided to start working for the Wildlife Trust, which is a conservation charity. As I mentioned, ponds are one habitat that has really started to disappear in the UK over the last sort of 100 years or so. Another one is wild flower meadows, like the one I'm standing in. It's autumn now, so there's not many flowers, but in the spring and summer, this would have been just awash with colour. It's another habitat that the Wildlife Trust works really hard to protect. It's really important that the work we're doing. You may have seen some of the programmes on TV recently about the state of nature in the UK and also across the world. And there are some incredible statistics that have been produced recently by scientists. One of the ones that really shocked me was that 60% of all animals have been lost in the last 100 years, or 50 years actually. If you think about that, the population of the UK is about 66 million people. So that would be equivalent of like 40 million people just disappearing off the face of the earth in your parents' lifetime. That's how many animals we're losing at the moment because of habitat loss and climate change, pollution, bushmeat. So it's a massive problem. And I appreciate that sometimes it can be hard to think, well, what difference can I make? I'm just one person. But actually, if we all make tiny differences, it can start to add up to make a big change. So what can you do at home, really, to sort of help this problem? So one of the things you can do is join your local wildlife trust and help us protect these habitats on the ground. There's also smaller changes you can make as well. So everything that you buy has a footprint, an ecological footprint, a carbon footprint. So next time you're thinking about buying some new clothes, think to yourself, do I really need to buy these clothes? The fashion industry has a massive carbon footprint, and lots of habitats across the world are being destroyed by the production of materials like cotton. Lots of water is being used up. So think to yourself, oh, it's a bit fashionable now, but in a few months' time, am I still going to be wearing this item of clothing? And if so, do I need to buy it? Also, plastics are a huge problem that you might have seen. Microplastics getting into the environment, and single-use plastics, packaging being thrown on the litter, on the floor. It's a really big problem. So trying to reduce your plastic consumption is also a really good one. Try to go plastic-free when you can. Make simple switches, like switching to a bamboo toothbrush is a really easy one that everybody can have a go at. Also, on your own patch, trying to make your garden better for wildlife is really important. In the UK, gardens are a really, really important habitat for wildlife. They make up a huge area. So if you can plant some flowers to help pollinators in the garden, or provide a little secluded spot for hedgehogs, that's going to start to make a big difference where you are. So don't be disheartened, there are still things that you can do. And if you visit our website, Wildlife Trust, there are lots of ideas for things that you can do to make a difference as well.
Here hunts heron, here haunts heron, huge hinged heron, grey-winged weapon, eked from iron and reeked from blue and beaked with steel. Heron, statue, seeks eel, rock still at Weir Sill, stone still at Weir Sill, dead still at Weir Sill, still at Weir Sill, until eelless at Weir Sill, heron magically unstatues. Out of the water creaks long legs heron, old priest heron. From here on in, all sticks and planks and rubber bands, all clanks and clicks and rusty squeaks. Now heron hauls himself into flight, early aviator, heavy freighter, and with steady wing beats boosts his way through evening light to roost.
In Greek mythology, herons were messengers of the gods. So if you harmed a heron in any way, this was thought to bring enormous bad fortune to you. This is perhaps why these solitary reflective birds are often symbols of good fortune. Nadia Janice Brown, an American poet, writes, "Creativity is the blue heron within us, waiting to fly. Through her imagination, all things become possible." And this seems a good place to finish. Our environment is constantly under threat, whether it's new housing, transport infrastructure, or other development. So how do we balance necessary advancements in society with the need to protect and look after our natural world? Perhaps the heron has the answer. Perhaps creative skills applied to scientific problems are what is needed. And in your imagination, all things are possible. Why not have a go at some of the creative ideas that we've presented to you today? Or you could have a look at the website of the John Muir Trust, where you'll find lots more creative ideas based on the lost words. Why not send some to us on our email address, which you'll find on our website? And don't forget, keep an eye out for our live workshops based on the lost words.
There is an old kind of magic for finding what is missing and for summoning what has vanished. If the right spells are spoken, the lost words might return.
So we have James Gillam here from Fabula Arts. Please, James, thank you so much for telling us about, what you do with your organisation and how it relates to STEM. Could you just give some students that are in the audience some advice on how they could use what you've shared with their studies and their future careers in STEM?
Well, I think the video you just watched, about the lost words is leads to all sorts of different areas, but perhaps leads most to the environment and to how maybe science can help solve our great environmental questions of the day. But I also think creativity can help solve those problems, and often creativity, I think, gets pigeonholed a little bit and it gets put in a box, and if you do the performing arts, you're a creative person, and if you don't do the performing arts, you're not a creative person, and that's just not the way it works. And hopefully our stuff we do helps all young people to see that they are all creative. These creativity can help solve lots and lots of problems, we hope.
Yeah, and James, tell me, do you feel that everyone has the potential to be a creative? Because some people feel that they're just really theoretical and they haven't got the capacity to, be creative and rap, as some of the students did on the video.
I think that's a really interesting point. Yeah, and the answer is yes, absolutely. What I've learned from, I've been a teacher for many years and done sort of lots of theatre and creative work with young people. And every young person is creative. It depends on your definition of being creative. And some young people, I think, have that definition that to be creative, you have to be good at art or you have to be good at drama, have to be a good actor. And that's just not true. Being creative is looking at the world in an interesting way. And I think young people actually do that better than adults. I think they have these interesting, wacky, innovative ideas that we sometimes just discard because they're young people. But in fact, they're really interesting things that actually are going to help solve the big questions of the day. So in short, yes, every young person is creative, and that's a really important part of our company.
Okay, and right now everyone is locked in. What would you suggest? What would you suggest us young people do? Yes, I'm calling myself young. What would you suggest us young people do to ignite our creativity if we feel like we're losing it, being at home, being stuck in environments that, are not really igniting it at the moment? What could we do at home?
There are so many things you can do. I mean, find something creative that you're into. So reading is brilliant. Try poetry. Find some poetry that you like reading. You may have never looked at a poem, or apart from in an English lesson, and had some bloke standing at the front telling you what this poem's about. Just find poems that are actually fun to read. Listen to music. Make music. You can make music with anything. Draw some pictures, create sculptures out of stuff at home. But the great thing about creativity is that you can't be wrong and you can't kind of make mistakes. It's all good. Just find things that are a bit different, and probably you'll end up being creative with those things. Yeah.
Okay. And James, my last question is, if students wanted some, inspiration on creativity, or they wanted to see more videos of the amazing stuff you're doing, how can they find you on social media?
Yeah, so we've got a website, so Fabula Arts, and we're on Twitter and we're on Facebook, and I think we're even on Instagram. I'm not hugely au fait with all this stuff, but we are there, and do check us out and come and meet us, because we'd love to work with loads of young people in the next year or so. So come and find us. Yeah.
Okay, and James, if I gave you a beat, would you give us a rap?
I can try and give you a rap.
No, I'm teasing you. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that.
Thank goodness for that.
But James, thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing more amazing work from you guys. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.